It all began with an avocado. Not just any avocado, mind you, but the avocado, perfectly ripe, gleaming with that soft green promise that makes brunch fanatics lose their minds. People fight wars over less. And in my neighborhood, someone apparently decided that stealing one would be the crime of the century. I was sitting in my tiny detective office, sipping on a cup of coffee that tasted like liquid regret, when she walked in. Every case starts with someone walking in, usually looking worried, desperate, or in this instance, strangely obsessed with guacamole. "My avocado," she gasped dramatically, clutching her tote bag like it contained state secrets. "It's gone." I blinked. "Your avocado?" "Yes," she cried. "It was sitting on my kitchen counter last night, perfectly ripe, ready for tomorrow's brunch party. And this morning, poof, gone. I want you to find it. Now." It dealt with cheating spouses, missing jewelry, even one suspiciously stolen garden gnome. But this was a new low. Or maybe a new high. Hard to tell. Either way, rent was due, so I said, "I'll take the case." The investigation began at the scene of the crime, her apartment. It was a modest place with too many succulents and an alarming number of avocado-themed kitchen towels. She pointed to the empty fruit bowl like it was the site of a brutal murder. "Right there," she said, eyes wide. "That's where it was." I crouched down, examining the area. There were breadcrumbs on the counter, a suspicious trail of guacamole-like smears leading toward the window, and, wait for it, a single avocado pit rolling lazily under the fridge. "Looks like your avocado didn't just walk away," I muttered. "Someone wanted it badly enough to stage a messy getaway." She gasped. Who would do such a thing? That was the million-dollar question. Or in this case, the $2.50 organic produce question. My first suspect was the neighbor across the hall, a guy named Chad who wore yoga pants unironically and always smelled faintly of kale. Rumor had it he was a militant vegan with a shrine to avocado toast on his Instagram feed. I knocked on his door. He opened it with a suspicious smear of green on his chin. "Morning, Chad," I said casually. "Lose any fruit lately?" He blinked. No. "Why?" "Because someone lost an avocado. And I couldn't help noticing your garnish." He wiped at his face and stammered, "This? Oh, spinach smoothie." I peered past him into his apartment. Sure enough, his countertop was covered in smoothie cups, blenders, and, bingo, a suspiciously empty avocado skin sitting by the sink. When I pressed him, he cracked faster than an overripe tomato. "Fine." I took one avocado, but it wasn't hers. It was mine, I swear. I bought it at the farmer's market. "Look, here's the receipt." And wouldn't you know it, the timestamp matched. Chad was off the hook, though still guilty of crimes against fashion. My second suspect was the landlord, Mr. Jenkins. He was notorious for inspecting apartments unannounced, usually while stealing snacks. Rumor had it he once pocketed a tenant's Pop-Tarts during a fire alarm. I cornered him near the mailboxes. "Mr. Jenkins, you wouldn't happen to know anything about a missing avocado, would you?" He squinted at me. "What kind of detective nonsense is this?" "The kind where produce goes missing and you're the prime suspect," I shot back. He huffed. "Do I look like the kind of man who eats avocados? I don't even eat vegetables. I've been strictly bacon and donuts for 40 years. Fair point. His arteries backed him up. Strike two. By this point, the case was getting slippery. Literally. My shoes were still sticky from the guacamole smear at the scene. I returned to the apartment to comb over it once more. That's when I noticed something I'd missed before, faint claw marks on the window ledge. I leaned closer. Not human. Not Chad. Not Jenkins. No, this was the work of something furrier. Just then, I heard it. A faint rustle behind the curtains. I pulled them back, and there, sitting with the world's guiltiest expression, was a cat. A fat orange tabby with green smeared all over his whiskers, looking like he'd just raided a Chipotle kitchen. Well, I said. Looks like we've cracked the case. The landlady's cat, Mr. Whiskers, had apparently broken in through the fire escape, made a beeline for the avocado, and devoured it with zero remorse. He burped in my face as if to confirm. Case closed? Not quite. When I reported back to the client, she was devastated. A cat? Are you telling me my avocado died for nothing? I tried to soften the blow. On the bright side, he probably enjoyed it. Cats are surprisingly resourceful criminals. But she wasn't listening. She was pacing, muttering, plotting vengeance. And that's when things got really messy. The next morning, news broke that someone had staged a full-scale heist at the local supermarket. The target? The avocado display. Dozens stolen overnight, replaced with tennis balls painted green. Chaos erupted. Smoothie enthusiasts rioted in the parking lot. Instagram influencers wept openly on the sidewalk. I knew instantly who was behind it, my avocado-obsessed client. She had snapped. I confronted her in her apartment. Sure enough, she was sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by crates of avocados like some sort of green-fleshed dragon hoarding treasure. Her eyes were wild, her fingers sticky with guac. "They'll never take them from me," she hissed. "Never." I sighed. This was no longer just a case of theft. This was a full-blown avocado mania. In the end, the police hauled her away, muttering something about a produce rehabilitation program. The avocados were returned to the store, though a suspicious number were mysteriously missing by the time the paperwork cleared. And me? I sat back in my office, poured myself another cup of terrible coffee, and reflected on the absurdity of it all. All that chaos, all that drama, all that detective work over a single avocado. But hey, in this city, you never know what the next case will be. Tomorrow, it might be a stolen pineapple. Or maybe, God forbid, a missing loaf of sourdough. Whatever it is, it'll be ready. Because when you're a detective in a world gone mad for brunch, you learn one thing very quickly. Never underestimate the power of an avocado.